All right, people. Today is going to be amazing. What we'll be doing today is super simple. We just want to um, clear up the ground more like starting up with um, using Python to design for web, right? So we'll be using Flask, right? And this is just going to be like the very first setup or steps, right, which you're going to take. All right, so let me bring up my terminal, and to do that, you can just press Control um, backtick, right? So Control backtick is going to bring up your terminal, which is this, right? Okay, so I'm just waiting for it to load up, and once it's done, we can begin. Okay, so let me just remove some stuff. Waiting. Okay, so to be precise, right? What we the okay, since it's up, let's get started. So if you look here, right, once you put up your VS Code and you look here, right, so you're apparently at the root folder of your computer. So if I do ls, right, it's going to load up that, right. So you can see that I'm at the root folder of my computer. So what I want to do is to go to document, right. All right, so to go to document, I'll do cd. So cd means change directory. So I'm going to do that and go to this document. So I can do this and press tab, right, so that it auto completes this folder's name. Okay, so what that would do, it would navigate me to this folder. Now that I'm on this folder, the next best thing I would want to do is to create the folder which I'll be using to work here. So I'm just going to say mkdir arrow. So mkdir arrow means make directory. So that's the directory which I want to create. And for us, we can just say, let me say Flask class, right? So once we do that, right, so this is going to automatically create a new folder for us. So what I want to do is to move to this folder. So let's do cd Flask, right, um, class, right. So that would again navigate me to this folder here. So what I would now do is to open up my VS Code on this folder. And to do that, I'm just going to say code dash arrow dot. So what dash arrow implies is that it's more or less like a recursive force, right? So that it opens this folder on this particular VS Code. So I don't want it to recreate another VS Code. So let it open it on this VS Code. So that's what that does, right? All right. So ensure that you're on the folder, right, which is this Flask class. You can see Flask class here. So just ensure that you're on this folder. So the very first thing we would want to do now is basically two steps. So the very first one is for us to create a Python virtual environment here. So that implies that we'll be using the venv, right? So let's quickly do that. So I'm going to say python-m and I'll say venv, right, venv. So what this is going to do is going to create a Python environment for me to work here, right? So more like create an environment of my system, right, which all my Python stuffs would be entering, and that's what we want, right? So all the dependencies and every other thing I would need, right, would be installed here. So that's what we really want, and once that is good, we'll be good to go. Yeah. Okay, so after installing, right? So I'm sorry, not installing, but build up the environment. So the next thing we would want to do is to activate this venv, right? This environment, right? So I'm going to do source, and I'm going to say venv I'm going to say vim slash script slash activate, right? So basically what that implies is that it's me just coming here. So this is script and this is the activate. So that's what I basically do. Now, to be sure that it has been activated, you're going to see vim here, right? And for the record, I'm using git bash, right? So you're going to see this here. So the next best thing to do is now to install Flask. Of course, we're using Flask, so we'll just install Flask, right? Now, Flask is a lightweight Python dependency, which we can use to create front end, back end, and so many more, right? We can basically use it to build a full stack application. So what's going to happen now? Flask is going to install. Yeah, so it has started installing. All right. So now that Flask has been installed, now we can start working properly. So the very first thing we would want to do is to more or less like create an app.py, which is going to be like our entering a file into this whole project. So let's begin. So I'm going to say from Flask, right? Let it import Flask, right? And oops, let it import Flask. And let's begin with these first. Then eventually we're going to install or we're going to import more stuff from Flask. So we'll create a variable which is going to be app right, and that's going to take in Flask. And inside is our Flask. We're just going to do this. So I can say if name is strictly equals to this, right, then let our app run. So we're just going to do app.run, and inside of that I'm going to say debug to be true. So what this does is basically when I save my code, right, would want to see it run. So just to test, right, so let's just create this declarator. All right, so I'm going to say app dot route, and inside of that let me do that slash. So let's create let me just call it an index function. So would say return this is home, something like that, right? So basically we can run Python code here and have it display on our browser. So let me just reduce here as well as reduce here. So here to run the code, I'm just going to say Python app.py. So once we do that, it's going to give us a local URL, and that local URL I can click it and see my code run. Oops, so I see all right, so I wrote this function wrongly, my bad, right? So we'll run this again. So look at this, right? So this is our read error, so it just make me know that there's something wrong around this side. What I'm trying to do is to call a function, create a function, right? All right, so it's spinning up and we have this, right? So let's just chillax for it to finish building up, and we can run it. Okay, so now we have this is home, right, which is literally what we expected, right? So let's see. Okay, so I would want this to be all right. So that's fine, right? So we have our code here running, everything is running fine. Okay, so that's good. So now that we have this running, of course, what we want to do is to have it have it run an HTML site, right? So what that now implies is I'm going to come here and create templates. So inside this my template, I would create an index.html. So good, right? Now let's just call this, right? So that in here, let's just say this, no, sorry. So let's give the title to be home, and inside here, I could just say this is the new home, right? So let's do this and close. So if I should save this, save here, then let's come back here. So how can we ensure that this file can be read here, because this index, that's what we want to save here. So I need to call render template, right? So I need to call this render template from Flask. So what I can now do is, rather than we having this home here, let me off this. So rather than me calling this home here, I can remove this and use this my render template. So in this my render template, I'm going to pass this index.html. Now ensure that your spell is correct, right? Everything is correct. So once you do that, right? So let me just ensure that it's saved, right? So once you do that, if we come back here and refresh this, you can see that we're getting home here, which is what we save as the title, right? And we're getting this message here, which is what we save as the message here, which is what we serve as the message here. So that seems pretty cool, right? So what I want to do is just to have this right here, so that I can change my stuff and I would see the update in real time. So for example, I have this here, so just save that, refresh here, so we see that changes here. So that's pretty cool, right? Okay, now the next thing which I would want us to pretty look at quickly is we having more or less like a global component. Then from that global component, we can serve it across the different pages which will be serving. So it's more or less like we creating a system where we can save once and have that implemented across, right? So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to call base.html. So inside this base.html, right, I want to pass in my header, right? Now this header, I would want it to reflect in the home page, which is the index, as well as reflect in the about, right? But before I do that, for this title, let's create a template, right, for that, right? So I'll just come here and say block, let me call it title. Now because I open, I must close, so I'm just going to say end block. All right, so this same thing, let me copy it, and under header I'll paste it there, but this would be, let me just say body, right? So this is where the content for the body, right, would enter, and we want to work for head, so I'll just say this is the header, right? So save this. And lastly, I want to work with tailwind CSS, right? I mean, that's what I would want to use, right? So let's call it script tag, and let me close that script tag. Then inside this script tag, we'll do a source, and we would call tailwind. I think that should be https then cdn dot tailwindcss.com. Yeah, cdn. Yeah, so cdn, right? So save that, right? So that I can implement tailwind css. So once I've done this base, I want to pass it. Yes, so I'm just going to remove everything I have there. Then call this my literal again, so that I can say um, extend. So what am I extending? Remember, I want to extend from this base. So that will be base.html, right? HTML. So that's good. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to pass this body, this title. So for this title, we're going to say home. So let me just use home screen, right? So that's what I am going to pass there. Then remember that we have another, which is the body. So in here, I'm going to pass this. So down here, I can now do maybe main, right? And I would say this will be content for content for the body, right? So this looks good, right? So save here, ensure that everything is saved, right? So if I come here and refresh, oops, I can see an error, but not to worry, that isn't an error. So because I did a major change, right? So all I need to do is to rerun the code, and that's what I'm doing here, rerunning the code. So while the code is running, let's create another, which we're going to call the about.html, right? Hit enter. So let me refresh here, and if I do, so I can see a whip on my face, right? So let's ensure that everything is good. So let's see. I think I saw something. End block, right? Okay, so my base, right? All right. So I think I see that. So all right. So this is what I feel the issue is, right? So it wasn't well spelled, right? So let's look at this so that we can fix it. So this is it. So that should be block, not black. Block, not black. Save there. Let's come here. Yeah. So that's block, and there should be one more. Yeah, down. Yeah. So it should be block, not black, right? So my bad on that, right? So let's just refresh here, and voila. So this is it, right? So that's good, right? So a little read could just save you some big problem, right? And since this problem has been saved, yes. So what we want to do is in the about, we already created the file, so I just dropped that, right? And for here, so we're just going to say this is the um so this is the about screen. So save that. Now in this header here, right? So this part that holds the header, we want to put navigation and have it navigated, right? So I would come back to this my base, and inside of this head here, so let's remove that. So let's do nav, right? And inside this nav there, I can use my a link, right? A tag rather. So let me do home and do, I think I should just come back here. So I can do href, right? And this my href, I'm going to pass slash. Yeah, and this one is going to be about, and let's do about. So if we save this, remember that my quest is just for us to see that, oh, we can navigate. So oops, I'm saying not found. Yeah, so the reason for that is because we've not created that, right, in our app here. We've not created the about. So let's quickly do that. So I'm just going to save this, and in here I'll say about, change the function to be about, then change the HTML file to be about as well. So let's save this, and if I do save it properly, come here and let me refresh here. Yeah, so we should be able to see the about screen. I switch, this is home, I switch, this is about. So majorly this is how we can create other pages and have it styled and have it navigate from one page to another. In the next video, we're going to try something interesting and add precisely flesh to this work. So see you in the next class. Thank you.